Hello everyone, welcome to Responsible Logistics podcast. I'll be your host today. My name is Alia and today's guest is Viktorija Terekė, Head of Sustainability at Girteka. Welcome, Viktorija.
Hello.
It's nice to have you here as our first guest. So today we'll be discussing the sustainability topics. Generally, a lot of companies are talking about sustainability these days, not only companies, but also people. So it seems to me that it became a little bit of a buzzword. So it would be nice to understand what is sustainability and why is it important in business environments.
Overall, sustainability has very, I would say, wide meaning. Basically, nowadays, I would say that it reflects on three main letters. So E, it's environmental part, S is social responsibility part, and G like governance part. So I would say that for the very first time, sustainability is taking care of like very wide and important areas overall in all, business world and corporate policies. Why it is probably important, answering to the second part of the question. First of all, probably for the very first time as well, we are talking about the responsible business overall, not taking in consideration just financial risk that we might affect or like when this environmental affects us. This time, like the coming new Euro governance or Parliament new directives as CSRD requires to make a double materiality assessment, for example. So this is something unique when when as a company you are not just taking care of like your financial, safeness, but as well like how you will affect environmental overall. So biodiversity and taking care like all these letters from the very wide meaning of these words. So I think this is crucial, important to go with the new goals that are set up and for everyone, as much as we can follow sustainability, not just by talking about it, but actually making very small first steps.
And about the assessment that you mentioned, does it relate to the European Green Deal? The fact that
Yes.
Companies have to decarbonize by 2050?
Yes. I would say that taking in consideration what kind of the preparation we are overall as a European Union, so no matter what kind of the field we are taking into account, or railways, or alternative fuel solutions, or e-mobility, I would say that we are really do have some kind of the time gap or lacking to make it on time, but we cannot evaluate how quickly technologies are changing, and like if we are thinking what was Girteka 5 years ago and where we are now, how deeply digitalization is integrated in our processes, how quickly all the technologies are developing. I would say that to predict what is going to be in transport and what kind of transportation we will have 2050. It's a little bit difficult task, but overall, I really have this gut feeling that something, some new technologies will appear very soon. And of course, those study cases that all other partners are stating, it shows that they are working together. They unify their efforts to develop, to test some new hydrogen technologies and so on. Of course, market is existing these kind of technologies, but it's not Girteka case. We are not testing yet.
Right. So as you mentioned, there is not as much time left, not a lot of time left till 2050, just 26 years. But currently, we already have some solutions that are implemented in current logistics operations. So could you name a few of them, like the solutions that are already used today and that are promising, that will help us decarbonize?
For us as a company, probably we are focusing on three main external solutions that I would say that everybody knows probably. So this is intermodality, that it was our first focus project. The second one...
intermodality is rail transport.
Yeah, rail transport. And the second one is alternative fuel, so HVO, what we are fulfilling in our tanks. And the third one is electromobility, so like BEV trucks overall, how we are calling. So coming back to the first solution, I would say that for us it's really good and bad, I would say, in the situation we are, because like multimodality or intermodality overall, it is more more explored in the fields when we are using craneable trailers or containers. In our case, we are using the same equipment, and like few of the trailers we can put on the train. Means that it's less CO2 consumption, safeness on the road. So this is, I would say, the huge benefits. As well, for us as a company, I would say that this conscious mindset on what we are consuming. So like once we bought already diesel truck and we can put the same equipment on the rail, this is like really plus. And in case like something appears like, I don't know, on the road, we can easily switch on and switch off. So jump in and jump out that lane or that particular destination from and into the road. Of course, that for this type of equipment, we have like definitely not enough, I would say, network, but not enough, meaning that those like net zero goals are very ambitious. So we should speed it up, those processes, and of course the team is working on that part. So the second type of solution that we are providing, this is alternative fuel solutions, so means that as well, the same mindset. We do have already diesel truck, brand new, Euro 6 standard, and we can fulfill the same tank with alternative fuel, so means at HVO 100. In terms of like why our decision is like particular HVO 100, it's like really reflects on the effectiveness, taking in mind CO2 emission savings, and of course the expenses that we are getting from, or like someone is paying, or our clients paying, or we are paying, just because we decided like really to test it, how it would look like, and we do have dedicated fleet that it runs in the Benelux area, and I would say that mainly for our biggest partners we are offering first leg HVO, the second leg intermodal, and we are ending at this moment with diesel, but in the future it is a possibility to end it up as well with the alternative fuel. So we are doing green corridors, I would say. The third part is e-mobility. Mainly we are focusing on Germany, because we do have a German domestic fleet, and it's why? Just because simply the range now is reaching till 250, 220, depends on the weight which is running on the roads. So these part of the topics, while this part of the solution, or this kind of the solution, will be I would say first or the last leg, having the combination for our transportations, just because Girteka as a company is focusing on long distance transportation with temperature control goods. So means that we are not, I would say, so focused to expand our service overall in domestic business. So that becomes a little bit niche and unique product, unless the technology will appear very soon, and it's going to be then, in this case, game changer, I would say.
Right. So if I understand correctly, the e-mobility electric trucks at the moment can drive short distances.
Definitely.
So for carriers like Girteka, it is not very much applicable yet, because it cannot go long distances, and Girteka focuses on long distance transport, right?
Yes, so where we do see that it might be possibility to really expand that part of the business, or to provide this kind of the services, my dream is really to implement it with a mixed solution. So it means that first leg with HVO, the second leg, I would say, we can continue the destination with intermodality, and ending up like the third leg with electric trucks. So we are talking with our rail operators and providers, with our partners on that part, and we are looking forward for these possibilities.
So it's like a combination of solutions.
Definitely.
That helps to actually reduce emissions.
Yes, at this moment in the market is not existing some miracle pill, which by using it will help to save CO2 emissions. It is definitely, it's going to be complex. More and more we will have the complexity in wishing to save CO2 emissions, just because, as I mentioned, we don't have one unique solution that will help us to achieve 2050 goals.
But speaking about accessibility of these solutions, because Girteka is quite a large player on the market with a lot of own trucks, but what about smaller companies, like medium-sized or small companies that operate their own fleet, for example? Do they have the same access as large companies? Is it the same kind of access for every type of company, or does it differ depending on the size?
I think that for smaller company, it's even easier to reach and to act very quickly in terms of the sustainability or to find those solutions. Just because we do have the same resource, the gasoil station where you can fulfill HVO. In the territory where they are acting, basically it depends where they are located. So like if in their mission it is like, I don't know, the preference to travel with intermodal, so you can easily switch from free-go truck to tote liner and to continue that trip. I think that everybody is equal. Probably for smaller companies, the investment on CO2, on CSRD reporting is going to be a little bit more, less, they will affect in terms of the costs probably, and they will feel that affection on the cost. But for us as well, like as we are operating with enormous quantity of the data, so for us as well is going to be needed into some kind of investment as well to collect this data. So I would say that probably this is more the question about the maturity of the company or the owners, because sustainability overall is about probably from the very initial stages or from the very core of this world and word and meaning. This is like probably maturity on the consuming products or less consuming, and the main goal probably is to reach the better efficiency as you can. So with the 6 or 10 trucks to manage your own fleet, even with the Excel file, it's very easy. So you don't need some kind of, investments and huge investments. You can talk with your drivers, you can educate them, and there is no need some kind of particular academy school for that. So I think, yeah, it really depends on the owners, how they do see it.
You mentioned technology a few times, so maybe you could explain a little bit how technology advancement affects this area? Like, how can we save more emissions with better technologies?
Well, for example, our technique providers are like even created and we made a test drivings with free-go electric trailer. So it means that we are not filling there any more diesel. It's the same like charging as for the truck from itself. So these kind of technologies allow us to really test how it works overall. Then it's allow us to predict what kind of the risks might be. Then it's allow us to bring that knowledge, how we should develop internally how we should implement these tools into our network planning scope and so on. as far as I know, there are as well like a lot of like the aerodynamic solution from the truck and trailer producers that allow us as well as state and even like in some tests shows to save emissions like from 6 to 10%. So overall, the heavy technique allows it to do it. And the second part, when we are talking about the technologies, probably we should really bring in having in mind digitalization overall. So the planning or prediction allow us to, to reduce empty mileages. That is enormously important. If I would be our biggest partner, probably I would do the first thing. Definitely, this is the consolidation overall. So like means that instead of sending 6 or 5 pallets, probably let's pick it up like all the full truckload and let's send them not so frequent instead of like send somewhere half of the truck or a half empty truck.
It's kind of like public transport, right?
Definitely.
Like
so
one bus is going, but there are 20 people rather than 20 cars are going.
Yes, yes. So probably this is the idea that we should make this hygiene internally. Then overall, everybody should understand that sustainability, probably this is like the topic where all parties should be involved and all parties should work. So I would say that during the COVID we are spoiled as a consumers to receive those orders that we order it via internet very quickly, with the e-commerce. And now I would say that it's time to think about how we want to receive those, all those packages and so on. So this is as well the one of the topic, because everybody who works in transport business knows that Mondays and Fridays is the most difficult days. On Mondays everybody wants to load, on Friday everybody wants to deliver. So maybe we should think that someone can put or like a little bit adjust their schedule to make the loading on Thursday, to do it with intermodal solution and to deliver on Monday or on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is how we do see it. So it means that more and more going to open dialogue and everybody should make some a little bit adjustments from their side in order that we could reach those goals.
Right. So meaning that on a personal level, we have to evaluate our impact. Mm. And that actually leads me to the next question, is that companies are made of people. So I think it's also on a personal level. The decisions we make every day, they affect our daily life, but also they affect businesses, because business is not some entity not related to humans at all, right? So maybe you could suggest what is it that we can do on an individual level to help to achieve those green goals?
The ultimate goal of net zero overall is really to taking care of our one home that I imagine, this is Earth. So probably this should go together with not just like the pure E part, such as CO2 savings and less, to consume less water, like really to think like the hotels is everywhere has those stickers, please do not throw the towel on the ground, and please think it like, will you use it? Yeah, will you use it for tomorrow? Because I cannot imagine that everybody we at home we are changing our towels each day. Yeah, so this is the very, very, very small pitches that affects. So probably I would invite everyone to do not think that I am just only one human and I cannot change nothing. This is wrong. Because like if everyone will think like that, then definitely it's not going to be any affection. But if we all will do some small steps, then definitely it's going to be a result that it's already might be measured. So yeah, definitely less consumption. Probably this is the core of this of the sustainability, I would say, and conscious consumption. So I would say that we can go and to buy more things from the second hand, and yeah. As a head of sustainability, probably I shouldn't wear like a letters pants, for example. But if I am buying them from the second-hand platform, so probably it's the best idea is really to wear them instead of to throw them down just because they are made from the leather. So the material from itself it's already produced. So why I do believe in it? If we will use the second market overall more and more, so then the producers will predict the consumption in some kind of areas, and they will produce less, just because there is no such a buying power in that particular zone or geographical zone. Yeah, so this is, yeah, I would say that there is no any other outcome as a less consumption.
Okay, thank you, Viktorija, for joining us for today's episode. And I also like to thank our listeners for joining for today's episode. Next time we will discuss in more detail various topics of sustainability. So follow us on social network, let us know your feedback, leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.